Welcome back to the Headbangers Ball, and right now it's one of the rare occasions, and I can't even think of other examples, when we have a musical guest on the show that you've heard of even probably before you ever heard of the record. Right now we've got Stuttering John. Welcome to the Ball.
How you doing, Ricky?
And you should have heard of Stuttering John. Obviously, you've been on the Howard Stern show for how long?
I've been there for about 5.5 years. Actually, it'll be 6 years in August.
And doing like some of the... See, certain things you get to do that I envy. I mean, I don't have the guts to actually say some of the stuff that you've said in some of your interviews, but if you don't know, John has done interviews with like everybody and said like all the things that some of us wish we could say or actually would never have the guts to say. Like, give us a real quick example.
I asked...
And don't look nervous, because you know Howard's going to give you a hard time on the radio show. Don't look nervous on tonight's show.
I asked Debbie Gibson at the Grammys if Wilson Phillips should win the Grammy, do you think the fat one's going to eat the statue?
And didn't that get you thrown out of the Grammys?
I got thrown out of the Grammys. A Grammy first, ladies and gentlemen.
So if the record goes really good, maybe you'll be the only person ever been thrown out of the Grammys and maybe nominated for a Grammy or something.
Yeah. I would definitely enjoy that.
So before you even got hooked up with Howard, though, you were in a band. So it's not like you got famous for being on Howard's show and you said, "Hey, I think I'll start a band now."
Yeah. See, I started with Howard because I had my own album out, and it was like, wow, this is a good thing to do to promote the band. And then, you know, and which Howard did. He had played the album on his show, and you know, and then started plugging me at the end of every show. But a lot of people don't, you know, I realize that, but I've been playing for about 15 years.
Yeah, they think, oh, wow, he's in the radio and he's done some TV stuff now, put out a record. And we're going to find out about the music and more about Stuttering John when Headbangers Ball continues.
Hostile! What the hell is he saying, Ricky?
Hostile.
Hostile,
or
okay.
Pasta.
Pasta! I never knew it. It's been about 3 years now.
Now you learn. Back on the Headbangers Ball, we're here with Stuttering John. Does it ever get discouraging with you, like you're a musical artist now, and some of the first questions that everybody wants to ask you is still about Howard Stern? And
nah, it's okay. You know, I understand that everyone's known me for 6 years because of Howard, so no, it doesn't bother me at all. You know, I'm glad that now suddenly people come up to me in the street and go, "I love your album," which is kind of cool, you know. Because I have an album now. It's called Stuttering John. And I think everyone knows why I called Stuttering John. You know?
And surprising, I got to be honest with you, when I first got the record, I was like, you know, but there's some songs on it that are very cool that have different influences. Some of the ballads, see, the album starts with like most of the rockers in the front and the ballads in the back, right?
Yeah.
And some of the ballads even sound like kind of Aerosmithy.
Yeah.
And some of the songs sound almost punky, some of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the one that I like.
It's that New York sound, you know. Yeah, Guilt sounds a lot.
And some of the people that you've been playing with, for instance, your drummer, you've always been playing with. Yeah, way before Howard or anything.
He's been with me for about 15 years. You know, so in all my high school bands and everything.
And now you're out on the road with Ted Nugent?
Yes.
What's that like? Because, I mean, when I was a little kid, I was always like the hugest Nugent
He's a wild man. I mean, but he's, like, you know, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't take drugs, but he's...
But he kills all the animals walking around the
parking lot. But he's like a bow hunter, and he has like a hot daughter, you know, but you don't go near his daughter, you know? I mean, I think he's great, and he's a great guy.
And do you think that this is getting to the crowd that you want to hit with your music right now? Or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, yeah, I'd like to be on the road as much as I can, you know. I'd like to play a Woodstock, but, you know.
I'll put in a couple words. Oh, I got a real lot of cloud right now. I'm trying to see if they'll let me use the urinal.
I do have a song on the... I do have a song on the Airheads.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be a big thing that we're doing.
It's hard to talk, Ricky. See, if you stutter, it's hard to even say soundtrack.
See, but I stutter on the show all the time, and I don't have an excuse. Well, right now we're going to play a video, and you had everybody in this video.
Yeah.
How did you get, like, Gene Simmons, a real and fake Gene Simmons, right?
Yeah.
In your video.
I have a midget who plays Gene Simmons, too.
And real Gene Simmons.
Yes.
And who else?
I had Gilbert Gottfried, one of the funniest men alive, I think, and Grandpa Lewis, who doesn't cut his fingernails, if you ever seen, and Sting.
And was this something that you set up, like called them up and said, "Hey, you want to be in my video?"
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised all of them did it, you know, but I mean, when I heard Sting was doing it, I was like...
Yeah, it's very cool. It's at the very ending of it.
Yeah.
Here's Stuttering John. I'll talk my way out of it. Back on the Headbangers Ball with Stuttering John. Now, obviously, everybody would think that it helps being known even before you have your record coming out. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're Stuttering John from the Howard Stern show." But is there any times that it ever, like, kind of hurts?
Oh, yeah. It hurts with getting your song edited to radio, because a lot of stations, you know, are competing with Howard. And they're like, you know, screw Howard, I'm not going to play Stuttering John, you know, and you know, so that's where it could really be a double-edged sword, you know.
Yeah,
Howard is the king of radio, so, you know, a lot of stations get, you know, uptight about that, and they won't play me because of that.
But there are stations, I mean, if it gets enough requests, so tell everybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, just call up, you know, people out there, call your stations and request Stuttering John. But yeah, it's, you know, it's a good album, and I'm proud of the album, and I like as many people as you know, can to listen to it.
But it's not your first record.
No, you know, this is my first album on a real label, you know.
So was the other band called Stuttering John? Or
No,
was it
that
a band?
No, it was Stiff Minister.
Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to talk to Stuttering John.
I have a problem spitting that one out.
But you don't stutter in singing. Just
no,
like Mel
it's just
Tillis.
like, yeah, just like Mel Tillis. In fact, I had a 5-minute conversation with him. It took about 2 hours. and you know, yeah, he doesn't. I don't know what it is. It's a phenomenon. I don't stutter when I sing, or when I yell, or when I talk to myself. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's good, because I stutter when I talk to myself, but that's another problem too. Stay tuned. More Headbangers Ball. We're going to be back with Stuttering John. There was a band that I picked on tonight's show to play. It would have been that last video, even though I didn't pick it. But that was Offspring. Come out and play. Good band.
That's a great
Check
song.
out the record. Good album.
Yeah.
Good band. And if you like that record, they've got some older records too you might want to check out that are equally impressive. And we're back on the Headbangers Ball with Stuttering John. Now, are there any bands that you've had to interview in doing the Howard Stern stuff that you've really pissed off that now you might have to come in contact with? Like any of the harder rock bands that are like really pissed off?
I've pissed off probably, you know, with my guitar idol, Eddie Van Halen.
What'd you do?
Which was really tough. I asked him, since he named his son Wolfgang, will he be naming his daughter Coyote Face? And he told me to go F off, and he got real pissed off. And, you know, Lou Reed grabbed my neck when I
heard you got choked by Lou Reed.
I asked him if he, you know, ever masturbated while driving. And he grabbed my neck. So, you know, and, you know, usually bands can take a joke, but every once in a while you get these guys who don't get it.
Does it kind of get discouraging ever, like if you come off a show and you're playing, you're like, all right, I just did great, Robin Nugent. You sit backstage and somebody comes up and you think they're going to say a good show, and they might like come up and say, so what's Howard really like? Or
No,
like
they'll just come and have me sign Howard's book. But no, it's cool, man. Like, you know, this, you know, I'm proud of everything that I do for Howard, and you know, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm glad that you know, people know who I am.
So what's your schedule like now between the playing and doing Howard stuff?
It's tough, you know. I've been trying to play every a weekend. This could take all day, right, okay? But yeah, so I'm, you know, and then I, you know, because I'm at the station at 5:30. So now that we're on vacation, I'm like able to tour, but I got to see how it's going to work out.
So you're out with Nugent till how long?
Till
I think you'd be a chalkboard if that would help better and write it out, something like that.
Till another week.
And then you're going to go out by yourself, do you think?
Well, then I hope I can hook up with, like, you know, another tour. I mean, you know, there have been some names that have been mentioned, like, you know, Candlebox or...
But we would guess not Van Halen.
I'd love to open up for Van Halen. That would be a thrill, or even Aerosmith. I actually called Aerosmith, you know, on my own and said, hey, you think I could open up for you guys? You know, but I don't know, man. You know, I'd like to play with anybody, really.
Right. Well, thanks a lot for coming by. It was good.
Well, thank you.
And check out Stuttering John's stuff. And who do we have coming up next? Oh, Feed the Gods, White Zombie. Also want to remind you one thing. We got Bruce Dickinson coming by next week on the Headbangers Ball. But right now we're going to play White Zombie. They're on the Airhead soundtrack. You're also on the Airhead soundtrack.
I actually have a cameo in the movie, too.
Another person that got a thing. It just goes as part of the thing. I have a cameo. Maybe when you go get popcorn in your movie theater, you might see me, the guy sweeping up the popcorn at your local movie theater during the playing of Airheads. Big Airheads contest. You're going to get to go to L.A. You're going to get to see White Zombie. You're going to get money. Co-host Headbangers Ball with me. That's the downside of it. Here's White Zombie, Feed the Gods.